From the Ivy to the SEC, we break it down bold. Every hoop, every stat, every storyline told. From the Big 12 battles to the Big East grind. We cover every matchup with a champion's mind. Predictions, picks, you know we bring fire. Interviews that lift your insight higher. Moss dreams start from November till every bounce, every buzzer, we don't never skip. ECD where the gang gets real. College hoops coverage with all the heart and feel. Everything college basketball, let's go.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Everything College Basketball Podcast, episode 237. I'm, of course, your host, Josh Burton, and joining me again today for the second official episode of year number 8, and, of course, episode 237, Mr. Peyton Burton makes his return yet again. Peyton, we had, for our first overall week of college basketball this week, normally it's a lot of fluff. It's kind of, we always bitch and complain, or at least other people in the media do, about a lot of D1 teams playing a lot of non-D1 teams or powerhouse teams playing cupcakes, which we understand. But man, we did have some really good games this week. I know in Thursday's episode 236, we talked about some of them that already happened to kick off the year. This weekend, Friday, Saturday, and as we're speaking right now, Indiana Marquette's playing up in Chicago. We had some marquee games to kick off the week 1 of college basketball. I know you and I have talked over the years. This is something we would love to see more often. Like week 1 should be like the celebration of college hoops, where you get really high level games like we saw Friday night that we'll talk about here in just a few minutes with Kansas, North Carolina. We saw Arkansas go on the road to play Michigan State. We'll talk about that. Gonzaga, Oklahoma. I think week 1 should be more of that. Although from the coaching perspective, I understand why you don't want to put your team necessarily through the gauntlet out the gates. But these types of games are great for college basketball.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the week 1 slate we had some marquee matchups. Obviously, we had Florida, Arizona night 1. We had Michigan State, Arkansas, Kansas, North Carolina. And obviously tonight about to tip off, actually, we got Indiana, Marquette.
So they're playing right now already. Yeah, Indiana's up 6-4.
Yeah, we have some marquee matchups in week 1. Definitely a lot of bye games, a lot more than you probably would want for week 1, especially early on those first couple of days of the college basketball slate where there's no football you're going head-to-head with. The World Series just ended. It would be primetime basketball talk for week 1 of college basketball for those first couple of days. But either way, I'm not complaining. I'm just glad the sport's back, college basketball's back, and it seems like this year is going to be a lot of fun with all the freshmen that's coming into this year that's, taking the rails of being the best players in the country and really proving themselves already in some of these marquee matchups. Teams coming back out of nowhere, underrated teams that we didn't really think that was going to be this good early on is starting to perform really well. Which is nice to see, and I'm just glad the sport's back.
No, I totally agree. As we see our guy Connor McCabe here, always usually the first in chat here. What's up, Connor? He says, what's up, Josh Payton? So we're shouting him back out. Connor's always I swear he waits on the video stream to start because we haven't even got 2 words in, and he's already in, which we always appreciate the support, Connor.
Some type of alarm clock or some shit that when we live, it fucking zaps him or something, gives him a little notification. But yeah, what's up, Connor? It's been a while.
Yeah, I mean, we were actually a few minutes late starting today, and he was still first in line, which is always really cool. Peyton, we'll talk about it here in just a minute, obviously. You mentioned something on the freshmen. We spent Thursday just raving over Koa Pete. Well, we have more in the discussion now officially when we get to North Carolina, Kansas. I know we talked about it just briefly on Thursday, but before we talk about Carolina, Kansas, where would you rank? And obviously I'm older than you are, so I have a little bit more data, but you also study this sport. When you look at the current crop of freshmen we have, and it's usually you have 2 or 3 high level where you can be like, all right, they're probably like number 1 pick, top 5 kind of pick worthy. I think we're up to like 7, 8, 9, 10 of those types of freshmen this year. where would you rank early through week one of this freshman class in college basketball?
All time?
Yeah, just from your memory, just kind of what you've known.
I think I definitely mentioned last week that I think this is probably the best freshman class that I've personally ever seen. It's been a long time. Honestly, the 2012 class was pretty special. You had Anthony Davis in that class, or 2011, probably want to describe it. 2011, 2012, the year that Kentucky won the title, you had Anthony Davis, you had Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, you had Austin Rivers, Bradley Beal went to Florida, Cody Zeller went to Indiana. Like, you had Kadavius Caldwell-Pope was in that class. Like, you had a pretty stacked class in 2011 heading into 2012. But I think from top to bottom, you definitely have your 4 stars in the league or in the country. You got Darian Peterson, you got AJ Devonsa, and you got Cam Boozer, or 3, excuse me. But then you have guys like Mikel Brown, who's slipping under the radar. Caleb Wilson, who we'll talk about in this Carolina-Kansas game, that was exceptional. Kola Pete played really well against Florida. You still got the Arkansas duo of Darius Acuff Jr. and I think Malik Thomas. Like, there's a lot of good freshmen out there from top to bottom, and really good schools, from the powerhouses of like Kansas and North Carolina to mid-majors, high majors, really good Power 6 schools like Arkansas. Like, I think the freshmen are starting to make their return, and I think this class is definitely going to be a special class, and I think there's a lot of NBA prospects that's going to have multi-year careers in the NBA, in the pros after this.
Do you think it's any coincidence? Now, obviously, the talent will always be the talent, but this is like, what, the first year, I believe, of post-COVID madness for the most part. Like, you have some guys that's been in college 6-7 years, like Devin Askew or Tyon Grant Foster, or whoever the case may be. But the extra year, in a lot of cases, 2 years of eligibility that people gain, where we look at UConn the last couple of years, look at Florida last year, has been dominated by upperclassmen. Now it's like the eligibility has supposedly ran out, and now we're making the return to freshmen. Now, I understand, like, if this crop of freshmen came in 2 years ago, the talent's there, so they probably would have still been right at the top. But I do think it's kind of a happy coincidence that the extra eligibility, so college basketball turns back to being slightly younger. Like, the best teams are still older, but we're starting to turn back slightly younger again to freshmen. Do you think that has any coincidence to do at all? Or is it just more that these talented group of freshmen have all entered college at the same time, and we're just blessed to have this young group that is extremely talented?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think definitely ending the era of the post-COVID era where there's a lot of transfers getting their extra years of eligibility. I think that's finally starting to dwindle down and potentially be finally over with after last year, and potentially if there's anybody on this year that still got their eligibility from the COVID year. I think it has something to do with that, but also I think majority just has to do with how special and talented this class is. I mean, we can go back and forth. We can name probably a top 25 team or players list, do like a little freshman draft, and we all have good teams because of how stacked this freshman class is. I mean, from top to bottom, from your stars to your most underrated players, like this, it wouldn't shock me if, I think every conference probably besides like the Big Ten and the Big East, like a freshman couldn't win the Player of the Year for the SEC, for the ACC, for the Big 12. They could be a freshman that wins Player of the Year. Like the all-team ACC or All-Americans list, I'd say a majority of them probably be freshmen this year.
Well, think about this, and we'll talk about this game. This is the title of today's episode, Bluegrass Showdown Time. Think about my team, Kentucky. A lot of cases, 6th man right now is a superstar freshman, a microwave freshman that doesn't get the pub because how great the other freshmen are, and they're in starring roles, so it's a little different. But like guys like Nate Mint, who do start for Tennessee and who is leading them in scoring, that's kind of, they're expected to be like their baby Durant, considering the connections with Rick Barnes coaching Durant at Texas. And it's kind of what he sold him on he would do for him at Tennessee. Nate Mint's not getting hardly any love, and he came in as a highly touted 5-star prospect. You talked about Darius Acuff and Malik Thomas. The SEC is loaded with them. The Big 12 is loaded with them. Chris Senac Jr. out in Houston, playing for a team that's one of the top 2 or 3 favorites to win the national title, is starting for them in the front court. And they're not getting the love because of how great, not just good, great the freshmen have been at starring levels through the first week of college basketball. Peyton, I think we're in store for just an all-timer year by a group of freshmen that are playing beyond their years at this point.
Not to mention somebody that's a legacy recruit, Keon Anthony. He played well in his first couple of games.
That's a good one, yeah.
Like he's a very under the radar, and he has the name of one of the best college players to ever come at Syracuse, or just period in college basketball, and Carmelo Anthony. Like he has probably the most name value out of anybody on this list, and he was the 34th ranked recruit according to 247sports.com, and he's still not getting as much love as like a AJ DeMonster or Caleb Wilson or Darren Peterson is. Like it's insane how stacked and loaded this freshman class is.
Yeah, and putting a bow on this, I think you said just a minute ago, it won't happen for various reasons. Upperclassmen like Braden Smith or name your pick will end up being an All-American. And if we're being honest, there will be some old school reporters that have voting power in this that are just refuse to do it. But there is a world in which the 5 best players in college basketball this year are all freshmen. Yeah. There's just a world where it happens. It won't happen for the awards and All-American, but there's a world where it could and possibly maybe should at the end of the year. So this freshman class is unreal. We've talked a couple about Darren Peterson, Caleb Wilson. Let's get into that game from Friday night, Peyton. We had number 19 Kansas go on the road to play number 25 North Carolina in the ECB and AP. This is one of the rare occasions where the ECB and the AP top 25 align here. Kansas goes on the road. If you recall last year, they played the first leg of this kind of home and home. Kansas wins an incredible game, 92-89. This was a really good game, but Kansas in the second half, Peyton, I thought settled, but in due part because North Carolina's defense was so aggressive. There's this clip if I recall, it was early part of the second half. North Carolina put a full court press on them. Darren Peterson was out of the game, and Kansas looked lost to the point where there was a 10-second call. When was the last 10-second call you can remember in college basketball? Caleb Wilson was at the point of that, just running and trapping, and Kansas turned the ball over 10 seconds, and then the emotion came out of Caleb Wilson. I thought Carolina's defense in the second half was superb. They were led by Caleb Wilson with 24 points, 7 boards, 4 assists. He has a plus-minus of plus 21 to show his impact on the game. And then they got contributions from their veterans. Henry Visar, 20 points, 4 boards, 4 assists. He made a pair of threes. Kean Evans played really well. He was in double figures with 12. Seth Trimble was 17. So the star of the show was Caleb Wilson, but the veterans on that team really carried them across the finish line. What were your takeaways from Carolina's impressive 13-point victory at home on Friday night?
I thought first half, Kansas played pretty well. They had a 37-29 lead heading into the halftime, and I thought they ended the half hitting them multiple threes. I mean, they shot 48% from three, the total of the game, but at halftime they were shooting 43% from three, which if I'd have told you they shot 48% from three, hit 12 of them, you'd probably think Kansas wins this ball game. Well, they got beat by 13, and I think the biggest reason why is because the second half difference, Carolina only had 12 points in the paint in the first half. Second half, they had 36. I think that was the difference maker. Kansas could not stop their penetration, could not stop them from whipping them to the lane. On-ball defense is going to be an issue for Kansas. And, yeah, when Darren Peterson went out was significant. When he went out on the bench and Marco Jackson especially fouled out, Kansas had no point guard. And I think that was a big issue and why Kansas ended up losing this game. And, dude, hats off to Carolina. Hats off to, obviously, Caleb Wilson had 24 points. Very efficient night, 9 of 12 from the field, 7 boards, 4 assists. He played really well. But Henry Visar, Carolina, 20 points, 8 of 12 from the field, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. I thought he played really well. He played the most minutes out of anybody on this Carolina team. He played 37 minutes. I thought he dominated the boards. Carolina ended up dominating the boards as a team, 39 to Kansas 27. I think the rebounding difference was the biggest difference in this game, and Carolina just whipped Kansas to the rim, and Kansas had no answer whatsoever.
No, I think you said a couple things that I think are interesting. This team looks like two totally different teams with Darren Peterson and without Darren Peterson. With Darren Peterson, now, mind you, he hit some ridiculous shots. That one in the first half where he came off the little curl from about 18 feet and had a hand in his grill and kind of contorted his body for the and one, ridiculous shot. Like I've seen somebody say this, and you got to always be careful with these types of comparisons. And who was it? Was it Doug Gottlieb, I think, said this after
the Kobe comparison?
The Kobe comparison.
Yeah, I saw that.
Now, he's not Kobe. Kobe's bigger as far as height, and Kobe was extraordinary. We all know that. But he plays in such a way that is very Kobe-like. The way he makes tough shots, the way he's unfazed by anything you throw at him. The problem then becomes when he's off the floor for just needing a break, foul trouble, God forbid injuries, Kansas, to your point, is totally lost. Outside of Marco Jackson played well in this game, but Melvin Council 6 points in 33 minutes with a -11 in the plus-minus category. He's not going to get it done. He's an athletic freak. I mean, he did a really good job of setting people up with 7 assists, so you can't fault him for that. But especially when Darren Peterson is out the game, they need a guy that'll just go create plays for him and score buckets. And I thought Melvin Council settled a little too much. 7 assists is awesome. I don't want to shit on that. But he's got to know that I've probably got to be the guy. Like 10 points from Trey White, that's good. You'll live with that. Rosario hit a 3. Bryson Tiller was good in the first half.
I thought he was pretty good. I mean, he had 4 for 4 from 3, and then second half he just went quiet.
Well, he only played 15 minutes. Like he had 12
points. He
did
foul
15.
out, yeah.
Yeah, he fouled out. He's a guy that changes the offense with his pick and pop ability and stretch out, get his feet set in the corners and the wings. But I just think Melvin Council has to be the Robin to Darren Peterson's Batman. And he's not right now, at least in this first test of a big level game. Do you agree with that? Or are you looking at somebody else? Maybe it is all Marco Jackson. I just think Darren Peterson obviously can't do it all himself. He can't. He needs some help in the backcourt. And to me, it's got to be Melvin Council Jr.
I would agree. I think Melvin Council Jr. needs to play better, but I do think Cole Rosario needs to be a little more confident in his shot. I mean, he had 2 threes in this game, shot 4 of them. He played 20 minutes, had 7 points. I thought when he finally started to pull the trigger and actually started shooting, he was getting wide open looks and he was burying them. But he was just a little too complacent for my liking. I think Melvin Council Jr. definitely needs to be more aggressive, though. Was not efficient at all. 2-11 from the field. The guy, Florian Badunga, I thought in the first half played well. I mean, he only had 8 points, hit 7 boards. I thought first half he played pretty well. He was battling down low, getting himself in great post position. He has a pretty nice hook shot.
That offensive rebound he had in the first half where he ripped it from Caleb Wilson, basically did a rip-through move on the baseline and then dunked on him. That's the tone setter for him that I'd like to see more often from him.
The 2 guys I'm more disappointed in is the 2 veterans that been there for a couple years is Marco Jackson and Jamari McDowell. McDowell played 9 minutes, and he did absolutely nothing on the floor. Marco Jackson fouled out. He played 19 minutes. He did have 6 points, 3 rebounds, but again, he didn't play his best game either. Those 2 guys, they need to help these – I'm not going to say Darren Peterson doesn't need any help because he's already phenomenal as he is, but he needs to help guys like Cole Rosario, even guys like Trey White. Like, those guys need to play better. They need to be leaders on this team. They've been there the longest out of anybody on this roster. And for them to come out and play 28 minutes total combined from the 2 and basically not do anything positive on the court, I think that's a major issue. They need to help out immediately. They need to play a lot better.
Yeah, and the irony, Jamari McDowell in 9 minutes, he only gave 2 rebounds, but he has a plus-13. His defensive, at least help, was useful. But, yeah, he's got to get something. I'm with you with Rosario. He can really shoot the ball. And he's just not, I think, searching a shot yet. I think with time. The thing that Kansas made me look foolish on, 12 of 25, to your point, for 48% from the three-point line. Totally worried about their three-point shooting. Then you watch the strokes of Bryson Tiller. You watch, of course, Darren Peterson. You watch Rosario. Look, if Kansas, they're not going to hit 48% every night. But if they could be like 36%, 36.5%, then they're in line, I think, to win more ball games than not. Here's a crazy thing, 14 turnovers, and I forget what the stat was. One of the KU beat writers, and I totally forgot who it was right now, tweeted this Friday night after the game, that in like Kansas's last 32 games, I think it was, they're 17-15. That's crazy for Kansas basketball when you're used to like back-to-back 30-win seasons with only 7 combined losses. And I'll look it up and see what the stat is for sure, but I think he said it was like across their last 32, they are 17-15. That is not Kansas Jayhawk-like, and it's definitely not Bill Self-like.
Yeah, that needs to change immediately. Funny enough, we talked about it coming into this year. One of the biggest issues, like it's been the last couple of years, is just the 3-point shooting. I actually think Kansas has a pretty solid 3-point shooting team. I think Taylor Peterson is phenomenal. He can stretch it out and hit shots. I think when Cole Rosario is actually being aggressive and looking for a shot, he can hit. Trey White can hit a little bit. And Bryson Tiller was perfect, especially in the first half, 4 from 3. So I think they have a good 3-point shooting team. They can hit a bunch of shots, as they showed in this game. It's just the intangibles that they need. They need to be a little bit more what's the word I'm looking for? Discipline on defense. The switching wasn't great. Carolina just whipped them to the rim and just had easy buckets. Multiple and-1s. I'm curious to see. I wish that was actually a stat you could track on how many and-1s they had, because I feel like they had at least 3 in this game, especially in the second half. But no, there's a question I want to ask you, though. And
yeah,
then
go ahead.
Putting the ball on the whole Kansas, I think Kansas will be fine. They just got to figure out some issues before a Big 12 play starts. But Carolina, I think you put it in the title, is UNC back. I think Carolina is back. I think Carolina is going to be really good this year. And also, a question that I want to ask, not only is Carolina going to be good, but I think the ACC is about to be back. I think the ACC is about to be loaded with really good teams in this league. Obviously, coming in, you had Louisville, you had Duke. Those were the 2 mainstream teams that everybody was talking about, how their potential Final Four good can potentially cut the nuts down in April. And then you had teams like Virginia, who knows how good they're going to be. You had North Carolina, you had North Carolina State. I feel like the ACC is starting to come back to life, or starting to come back to where they once were about 4 or 5 years ago. And I think that's very exciting for college basketball.
I do agree. I was pretty negative on the ACC. Now, again, we're only a couple games in, so let's see how they continue to do. But Carolina voted them in our top 25. They come in 25th. They're clearly better than what I thought. You had worries about potential Kean Anthony. I know DeRosa on here, when we talked about him in the preview, was worried because he was the 3rd best guard on that Colorado State team a year ago. So why would Carolina bring him in to run point? Well, look, 12 points in 32 minutes, 3 assists, 2 steals with plus-minus a +15. He's been really good through the first 2 games of the year. Seth Trimble is acting like the veteran he should be. 17 points, 8 boards, 3 assists in 36 minutes. Henry Visar coming in from Arizona. His pick-and-pop ability, he hit 2 of 5 threes in this game. Chipped in 20 points, 4 boards, 4 assists, as we talked about, in 37 minutes. Bogovic, only 5 points in 19 minutes, but I thought he did some really nice stuff. Jaron Stevenson is a guy I want to highlight just for a minute. 23 minutes, 3.6 boards, 1 assist, 2 steals, 1 block, +12 in the plus-minus category. His defense was really, really solid in this game. He's known more as kind of that 6'10", versatile shooter, can get to the rim. Defense has been good. But again, he played at Alabama, where they'll score a lot and give up a lot. I thought his defense in this game, when he got switched on to Peterson, when he was on Council, and no matter who he was guarding, I thought he held his own really well. It was honestly a big reason why Carolina was able to negate a lot of what Kansas was wanting to do. I just think when you look at Carolina, of course, 3-point shooting, 8 of 27, you would like to see it better. But if you look at their season stats, they're albeit 2 games, tell me if this don't sound like traditional North Carolina basketball. They're averaging 90.5 points a game. They are averaging 19.5 assists a game. Free throw shooting right around 75%. 3-point shooting 32%. You would like to think both of those would get better, especially 3-point percentage. 51% from the floor. They are playing with incredible pace. They are holding teams to right now under 75, both teams, and they're getting out and running, and they've got a point guard and really a backcourt that makes the right play. This sounds like Carolina basketball. You would like to think, too, their rebounding numbers would continue to jump. They did dominate here with 39-27, but Carolina traditionally is very good on the glass. That way they clear it and they can push it out and get in their transition. I do think Carolina's back. They end November with a couple cupcakes. Let me pull up their schedule here. I think it was Radford on Tuesday and North Carolina Central. Then they go into December where we know they've got Kentucky. They've got some good games in the non-con. I do think Carolina's back, though, because they have a star. They have guards who kind of know their role, that are able to make plays. They've got role players in Jaron Stevenson, Jim Bogovich, and even Jonathan Powell hit a three. I do think Carolina is back. Maybe they make me look stupid a month from now, but I think they're back. And as far as the ACC as a whole, to your point, Louisville, Duke, Carolina State looks really good so far through 2 games. I know they struggled some the other night, but they've got a good coach. They've got a good team. Virginia, I think where we'll see the test of time for the ACC is how the middle of the conference looks. Virginia Tech beat Providence last night. They've got a star. Their version of the Greek freak, what's his name? Nico Avodialis, I think's his name. 33 points against Providence last night. So if teams like that can continue to grow and get some big non-conference wins, then yeah, I think we can firmly say the ACC is kind of back to where they should be. Do you agree or disagree with that?
Oh, I agree. I think the ACC is about to be back, and I'm excited for it because it really helps Louisville's non-conference schedule out, because last year they went 18-2 in the ACC, and if this is old years of ACC, that probably means that Louisville is top 10 good and, has a really good resume heading into March, and maybe one ended the tournament as a 8 seed or 7 seed or what the fuck they were. But yeah, no, I agree. I think North Carolina is back. I think they have legitimate chances of, who knows, maybe even winning the ACC this year. I think they're that good, and they got a star freshman, and they can hit shots. It's back to prime-time North Carolina basketball.
Let me ask you this, for our North Carolina, our Tar Heel fans watching and listening to us. They're obviously excited. They should be. After you've seen what you've seen on Friday night, early days, totally get it. But based off everything we just talked about, what do you think the ceiling is for Carolina now? Like, if they continue to play this way and continue to grow throughout the course of the season, what do you think that their ceiling could potentially be?
I think they can max out and make it to the Elite Eight.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm thinking too. And you know as well as I do, you get to the Elite Eight, anything happens.
Yeah.
Anything happens. I don't quite think I'm going to go off a limb and say that I think they can get to Indianapolis yet, because I do think there's some holes. I do think that there will be some games where that 3-point shooting absolutely tanks and they can't find ways to score. But if they continue to develop on the defensive end, their guards limit their turnovers, find ways to continue to make shots, that pace they're going to put on teams, I think is just going to wear a lot of teams down, and they've got a star. So I think you're right. I think as of now, I could see North Carolina being an Elite Eight type of team if they continue to grow.
Yep, I agree.
All right, let's switch topics here and talk about, we had another marquee game last night, another top 25 showdown, played in East Lansing, Michigan in the Breslin Center. Number 15, Arkansas, went to play number 24, Michigan State in the ECB top 25, a top 25 showdown between 2 Italian-American coaches, John Calipari, Tom Izzo, full of passion, full of vigor, and a lot of experience between these two friends of theirs. They showed a graphic on was it on Fox Sports 1? I forget now. I was watching the damn game. Fox or Fox Sports 1, whichever one it was. I totally forget now. They showed the side-by-side comparisons, and it's crazy how kind of equal these two guys are. And that's even with Cal taking a couple years off of college to go coach the New Jersey Nets. They've both got one national title. Izzo's got him in Final Fours, but it's like 8-6 or whatever it was in Final Fours. Their wins are sort of close. Like, it's really crazy, the comparisons between these two and their careers. And this game, Michigan State come in, as we talked about on Thursday, as a 1.5-point favorite. They cover, winning 69-66. Cam Ward for Michigan State with double-double, 18 points, 10 boards. Darius Acuff for Arkansas, 16 points, 6 assists. How about this? Michigan State wins this game by going 1 of 14 from the 3-point line. The final couple possessions with Arkansas, they were still in this game despite everything. They had a chance to tie and take the lead multiple times inside the final 2.5 minutes. And the knock on Calipari teams has always been they look disorganized on the offensive half-court end when games really get tight. And if you go back and watch those final 2 minutes or so, it's Malik Thomas comes down, pulls up a contested three. They get an offensive rebound. Malik Thomas takes a contested three. Darius Acup gets the ball in transition after they make a really good stop. One dribble, contested three, or even if it was open, just a quick three-pointer. Trevon Brazil, they're down 3. They run an inbounds play. Their first 2 looks, Acup, Malik Thomas, DJ Wagner, even not open. He does the release where he's doing the mid-post, flares to or fades out to the three-point line. There's still like 5.5 seconds on the clock. He takes a contested 25-footer, the air balls. Michigan State gets the ball back and holds on to win the game. It was the same thing. It was rinse and repeat time and time again. It's like if you close your eyes, you'd be like, yeah, we saw that at Memphis. We saw it at Kentucky. Now we're seeing it at Arkansas. They didn't try to run sets. And if they did, they're freshmen, and Brazil said, no, we're not. I'm going to be the hero. It was a lot of hero ball at the end. Michigan State dominates the glass, 45-33. They get 19 offensive rebounds. All of this despite shooting 1 of 14 from the three-point line, this classic Tom Izzo Payton. And honestly, and I'm not even trying to be like shitty about it, it was classic John Calipari at the end of ball games.
Brother, 1 of 14 from the field, from the three-point line, that's 7%. They went 18 of 26 from the free throw line, that's 69%. At one point in this game, in the second half, Michigan State had 0 converted field goals in a 6-minute time frame. 0 field goals in 6 minutes, and they still won this game by 3 points. Brother Tom Izzo is a fucking wizard. Mm-hmm. How did he win this game? I will never know, but they did dominate the paint. 46 points in the paint compared to Arkansas's 28. You mentioned the rebounding disparity. Michigan State dominated that, 45-33. They both were even on turnovers. They both had 14 turnovers. Arkansas actually had more points off turnovers, 17 compared to Michigan State's 10. Dude, I don't know. Like, this is dare I say it, this is a typical Tom Izzo team. Can't hit shots at all, but still somehow, if the game's close, he'll still find a way to put his team in the best position to win this game. And that's what they did. And they did have the luxury of playing in East Lansing. They did have the luxury of playing at home, which is, I mentioned it on Thursday's show, is a tough-ass place to go in there and to win at. Whether Michigan State has a great team or a good team or even a mediocre team, it doesn't matter. It's still a tough place to come out with a victory in. And, dude, Arkansas, I mean, the freshmen played well. Both freshmen, Malik Thomas and Darius Acup Jr., both had 16 points apiece. That's 32 points combined for those two. DJ Wagner, I thought, played pretty well. He had 13 points. Very efficient night from him. Played 31 minutes. Carter Knox was disappointing. No points. Played 18 minutes. 4 boards, 4 assists. And you're right. Once the game got in crunch time late, it became a lot of hero ball. A lot of one-on-one possessions.
Were you able to sit there and watch the whole thing, or did you end up going to sleep?
I didn't sit there and watch the whole thing. I watched a little bit of the majority of the second half. But, yeah, it was just disappointing from Arkansas. Michigan State came out. They had a game plan. They executed it perfectly, and they came out with a dub. Cohen Carr had 15 points for them. Jeremy Fears only had 4 points, which is crazy. Their best scorer came off the bench. Cameron Ward had 18 points coming off the bench. He had a double-double, 18 and
22
10.
minutes.
And 22 minutes. He did all of that and still had an efficient night and only playing 22 minutes. I mean, dude, I don't know how to, describe this game. It was very, stuck in the mud. And Arkansas should have won this game. If they would actually, land some sets and actually stop trying to play fucking hero ball and try to take everybody one-on-one like it's the NBA, they probably would have won this game. And I still think I'm still pretty high on this Arkansas squad, but once it gets late, there's only one man I'm trusting. If you ask me to pick between the two, either trust John Calipari or trust Tom Izzo, it's Tom Izzo every day of the week, twice on Sunday. And that's what happened. I think it was a coaching disparity in this game.
Dude, I think you said it well. Arkansas 7 of 28 from the three-point line. I know Cal had to be just shaking his head because you know how he feels a lot of times about his team shooting threes, but he didn't do anything to stop it. Like he had timeouts to burn and didn't burn them to really try to set anything up or tell his guys, hey, let's get to the rim. A lot of those threes were in the final 4.5, 5 minutes of that game. Both teams terrible from the free throw line. Arkansas 15 of 23, Michigan State 18 of 26. Stop me if you've heard that before. Cal's team's taking terrible shots at the end of games and missing their free throws. 14 turnovers apiece for each. We talked about the rebounds. Peyton, it's not a good thing when Arkansas has 16 assists to 14 turnovers. Yeah, you usually want a 2-to-1 ratio there. That's not good. They got dominated on the glass. Michigan State got this game exactly how they wanted it, where it was stuck in the mud, to your point, and Arkansas's elite kind of ball handlers, one-on-one players didn't know what to do. Peyton, I'm getting worried about DJ Wagner. Now, he had 13 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals in 30 minutes. He is actually plus minus, which is 0. So he didn't have a positive nor negative impact on this game, according to that. But he's a junior. You remember when he was coming out of high school, when people thought he was going to Louisville, he ends up at Kentucky. The hype around him was he was going to be a one and done. He was going to be off to the league. I just don't know how much he's progressed. 2 of 4 from the three-point line. You'll take that from DJ all the time. But those are the moments you would think that I'm a junior. I've been with Cal for 3 years now. Like, when the game's on the line, why is he not have the ball in his hands and go try to make something happen? And I know I sound like a hypocrite because we've talked about the first 2 years. His freshman year, the ball should have been either Reed Sheppard or Rob Dillingham's hands. Last year, he loses games because Cal insists to have the ball in his hands. So I know I sound like a hypocrite. Arkansas fans, forgive me. But it's still, I would trust him to at least get downhill the way they were calling fouls, to get fouled, go to the free throw line, and try to either tie the game or cut it down to a 1-point game. Instead, you let the freshman think it's AAU ball and take bad shots. Am I wrong for being worried about the development has stalled out on DJ Wagner?
I don't think you're wrong. I think it's valid, but I think it's wrong on Cal to not have trust in his third-year guard in DJ Wagner. I think that's wrong on Cal. I think that's a negative result out of him. I think early on, if it's late in the game and they're both playing well, and I didn't mention Lee Thomas and Darius Kev Jr. were playing pretty well in this game. They both had 16 points apiece. One of those two, give them the ball and let them try to make some plays. But once they start going a string of possessions, trying to do one-on-one plays, hero ball, and they're really having a negative effect on the team, and they're not looking to move the ball and really just be point-blank selfish play out of both of them, then that's when Cal should have hey, fuck this, give the ball to DJ. At least he would have some fluidity in the offense. At least he would have tried to run some plays, get some motion going
and he's
on.
Strong.
He's strong.
And
To the rim. He can go to the rim. I don't think there's a player on Michigan State that will be able to stop him from attacking the rim. Maybe could have gotten some guys in foul trouble. Who knows? I trust him with the ball later on in those possessions, especially with how poorly and how selfish both freshmen were playing. But I don't know if that's on DJ. I think that's more so on Cal, just not knowing how to game manage when it's late, which has always been typical of John Calipari. When under 4, close game, when stuff like that starts to happen, he doesn't know how to adjust and ends up costing him more.
Yeah, Cal would win these games in close games a lot of times, not because of stuff he was designing more times than not, just because he had superstars that would go bail him out. And so he tried to rely on it again last night. It didn't work. It may work later in the year. Like Darius Akov or Malik Thomas may hit these big shots. But DJ Wagner, 4 of 6 from the floor, 2 of 4 from the three-point line, 3 of 4 from the free throw line. That was all the shots that he took, and he made 80% of the shots he took. When you take a comparison, Akov and Malik Thomas combined for 10 of 31 from the floor. I don't know about you, but I would trust my third-year guard who's made 80% of the limited shots he's taken, including 2 from beyond the three-point line, to have the ball in his hands to go try to make the right play. If you've done it the first 2 years, why would you go away from it now?
Yeah, I agree. I still think Arkansas is going to win a lot of ball games. I still think they're going to be a very tough team to beat in SEC play. But there's definitely some stuff they got to figure out. I mentioned how I thought this game was going to be, I'm not going to say a blowout, but I definitely thought Arkansas was going to win by double digits in this game. Wasn't too high on Michigan State. And just looking at the stat line, if you didn't watch this game, you look at the stat line, you probably think Arkansas just beat the shit out of them, which they probably should have. But it just didn't happen that way. I still think they got two talented freshmen. It's just late game situation when the game's on the line. It's a close game, under 4. It's a 2-possession game, 1-possession game, how you want to describe it. I think you need to figure out a way to win these ball games. And really, Cal's at his best when he's able to control everybody's ego into one team's ego. I don't think he did a good job with this in this game. I think it was two players' egos clashing with each other, and there's a reason why they lost this game, because they couldn't figure out who's going to take that final shot, who's going to be the man, and it just, like you mentioned at the start, it became hero ball.
Last couple things. I think Arkansas's front court has just got to be better. Nick Pringle, 6.7 boards. He had 3 blocks. Okay, not bad. Like, you're not expecting him to score a lot. But Malik Ewing in 15 minutes, 4 points, 2 rebounds, 1 block, 1 steal. I just think they got to get a little more out of the front court production. And Carter Knox, I know it's his first game of the year. He set out game 1 against Southern, 18 minutes, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, no points for a guy who Arkansas fans was hyping at as a potential SEC preseason player of the year. Michigan State, I think the jury's out on them because they cannot shoot the ball. At least they could not against Arkansas. But they're going to be tough. They're going to get to the line. They're going to rebound like gangbusters. And I think it's always going to keep them in the game. And to your point, if the game comes down to the end, you trust that man on the sideline just about more than anybody in college basketball, and Tom Izzo. So good on Michigan State. They go to 2-0 in the year, get a top 25 win. I would be interested tonight to see the new ECB top 25 when ballots get sent out, because I'm curious on how far people drop Arkansas and if they believe Michigan State enough to give them a bump, because I do expect North Carolina to jump significantly. I think they'll jump like 10 plus places, going from like 25th to like 14th or something. I would expect people to maybe not be as high on Michigan State, maybe bump them up to like 8th or 20th or something. And then Arkansas, let's see how far they fall in this. But it'll be interesting to see. Let's talk about another matchup that happened late last night out there in Spokane, Washington. Number 18 Gonzaga handles business in front of their home crowd over 1-0, well, then 1-0, Oklahoma, 83-68. In a game, Peyton, that felt like typical Gonzaga. I stayed up, obviously, and watched this. Gonzaga, again, though, like last year, like in game 1, 6 of 22 from the three-point line, 27%. I worry about that aspect from Gonzaga. But everything else, they got really good play from Graham Ike, 19 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists. Worley, 13 and 8. St. Cyprien, 8 and 4. I thought the Spanish kid was really good. Braden Huff, 13 and 9. He got so many off of just middle pick and roll lobs. I'd like to see his dunk total there, because it felt like he had 4 or 5 just lob dunks. Tyan Grant Foster, 14 and 7. Adam Miller, that's been around college basketball forever now, 8 points, 2 rebounds. Braden Smith, who they bring in to be their starting point guard, 13 minutes, only 2 points, 3 assists. I think starting point guard's got to be better, but it did in a lot of ways feel like typical Gonzaga. They ran beautiful offense. They exploited Oklahoma's pick and roll defense. And Graham Ike, when they'd need a bucket, they'd throw it into him. He'd get to his left hand. He'd make a jump shot, or he'd make a hook, or he'd finish around the rim. He'd hit that little 9-foot jump shot when the defense would collapse, and he'd kind of slip away from the rim a little bit. It felt like typical Gonzaga. Their defense was on point majority of the night. I want to see their three-point shooting and their point guard play improve before I really buy into Gonzaga. But they're going to be tested. They showed their non-conference schedule, and it is loaded again. But good win, moves them to 2-0. Your thoughts on this game?
I didn't get to watch much of this game. just because it was tipped off so late. I didn't want to stay out for it. But looking at the stats and just seeing how it is, like, I agree. It's typical Gonzaga team. Besides the three-point shooting, it's just typical way that Mark Few likes to run his teams. The front court played exceptionally well. Both Huff and Ike both played exceptionally well. 19 points for Ike, 13 for Huff. They dominated the points in the paint. They had 58 points in the paint. Oklahoma only had 20. The bench points disparity was incredible. 38 bench points for Gonzaga, 8 for Oklahoma. 16 second chance points for Gonzaga, 8 for Oklahoma. They dominated the rebounds, 46-39. They forced Oklahoma to 16 turnovers, which is very impressive. 45% from the free throw line, though, from Gonzaga, and 27% from the three-point line. Those two, the stats need to change immediately. They need to be able to hit free throws, and they obviously definitely need to be able to hit outside shots if they want to actually, like, be a contender this year. Guard play is still an issue. Tyron Grant Foster did play well. But again, Braden Smith only had 2 points in this game. He had 3 assists there, played 13 minutes. I still worry about their guard play. I still worry about their three-point shooting. And I mentioned it last week or last Thursday when we previewed this game. I was not too thrilled about either one of these teams. I felt like this is a very underwhelming Gonzaga team. And even though they won 83-68, Nigel Pack had 18 points for Oklahoma, which is still crazy. He's still playing college ball, by the way. I don't know what to think about either one of these teams. Oklahoma, I think, is, I don't know, okay. They'll probably be late pack, mid to late pack, SEC. Gonzaga's still going to be one of the favorites to win their conference. I don't know how to feel about either one of these teams. I just think Gonzaga has guard issues, and they just can't hit shots from beyond the three-point line. I think they need to figure both of those things out immediately.
Oklahoma is going to be one of those teams that on a random Tuesday night, Super Tuesday, that they're going to knock off a Kentucky or an Arkansas or Tennessee or Florida or somebody really good, and you'll look up and they've put up a ton of points because they're backcourt. When Xavier Brown, Nigel Pack, Darian Reed, even Tay Davis to a degree, Forsythe, he didn't shoot particularly well at all last night. I mean, actually, let me take that back. He only shot – 1 of 2, and he made 1 of 1 from the three-point line. I meant his volume wasn't there is what I mean. But they're going to be able to get on a heater some nights. It all comes down to me, their defense. If you look at the 3 biggest runs of this game, Gonzaga 12-3, Gonzaga 22-6, Gonzaga 14-4. Their defense just allowed Gonzaga to get whatever they want and could not stop the bleeding more times than not. There was a point Gonzaga got all the way up to 24, or their lead was up to 24. Oklahoma reels off like a quick 9 points to get it back down to 15. Gonzaga makes a shot. Oklahoma cuts it down a little bit more. Gonzaga pushes. That's basically the whole last 11, 12 minutes of that ball game was. Oklahoma would make a run, get it down to somewhere respectable. Gonzaga would counterpunch and knock them back out. I think if Oklahoma fixes their defensive issues, if you look at, Brown had 21, Pack had 18. They're going to be nights where I think their offense can really get cooking with that backcourt, the backcourt pairing there, and some of the guys like I talked about, like Forsythe, who can really shoot. But their defense has got to be better. They allowed that middle pick and roll, and I know the way Mark Few runs stuff, it's so exotic sometimes, yet so basic. They just exploit mismatches, kind of very NBA style, and Oklahoma had no idea what they were doing on their pick and roll defense. Gonzaga just exploited them. So I think Gonzaga, to your point, I'm not going to be a total believer until I see their three-point numbers go up and their point guard play get better. But I do think there's some pieces there. The Saint Supri kid, he's got a little shit to him. I think he's still trying to figure out American basketball. I think he's got some shit to him. They got an All-American candidate, Graham Ike. Braden Huff plays really well at his role. But I got to see more from Oklahoma's defense before I really buy in. That's it for the weekend part of this. Now let's turn to week 2 of college basketball. And where do we go, Peyton? Tell the fine folks that are listening on the podcast what kicks things off on week 2 of college basketball. Where are we going?
Well, it's time to just close my window screen and pull my primary or the StreamYard studio to my primary monitor because I don't need any fucking notes to talk about this game. I got everything in my head. I'm already ready to go. We've got the best rivalry in the country being renewed Tuesday night. Number 10 Louisville, 2-0 Louisville Cardinals taking on the undefeated number 7 ranked team in the ECB poll, the Kentucky Wildcats. The Bluegrass rivalry is back. Red versus blue, Cards versus Cats, PK versus Pope. It's back, baby. And we already got some shit talking already started, baby. It's so good to have this rivalry that actually means something again. And boy, oh boy, we got a top 10 matchup coming in the Yum Center that kicks off or tips off at 8 p.m. Eastern on a random Tuesday night, which is kind of unfortunate. I wish this fucking game was on Sunday or Saturday.
It needs
but at least
to be
this
Saturday
game
in December.
It's primetime ESPN. There's no NFL to go against this, so I guess that's a plus. There's no college football to go against this, so that's definitely a plus. These games mean I don't even know how to describe it. It means everything to both programs. There's nothing else that either one of our fan bases has to look forward to besides this game. There's no NFL teams in the state of Kentucky. There's no NBA team. There's no pro teams at all. Outside, I think Louisville FC has finally gotten a soccer team. But that's really it. It's Louisville versus Kentucky, or in your case, it's Kentucky versus Louisville. However you want to describe it, depends on what side you're on. It just means more. And it's one of the best rivalries in the country. And in my opinion, it is the number one rivalry in the country. And oh my Lord, it's going to be cinema Tuesday night.
Well, you know what? I just forgot we didn't talk about Alabama St. John's, which will be okay. We'll get that maybe wrapped up here at the end. I totally forgot we didn't talk about Alabama St. John's, so sorry to those folks. We'll talk about that here in a minute. Peyton, I would expect both these teams currently, as we're recording, top 10 teams in the ECB top 25. They should be in the AP, but voters have Louisville 11th. That will change, I would imagine, in both polls. With St. John's loss that we will go back and cover just briefly here in a second, that will change. They will be top 10 opponents in the ECB and the AP top 25. It's been a minute since that has happened. It's been a few years. This is the earliest this game has ever been played, which sucks, but it's also creating this type of drama. We're still figuring out a lot about both of these ball clubs. Kentucky didn't particularly look great in the first half in their opening game, but the last 3 halves have looked really good. Louisville didn't look particularly great in the exhibition, but the first 2 regular season games have looked incredible. If you look at the stats, if you're watching along with us live on on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and now Kick, you will see the bottom ticker here. Louisville averaging 105 points per game. Kentucky, 92 points per game. Louisville from the three-point line, 22 of 65 for 33.8%. Kentucky, 18 of 55 for 32.7%. I think we feel both of these teams can shoot better than that. I think both teams are starting to shoot better than that. I know Kentucky's case on Friday against Valpo, the numbers really got better. Both will play with incredible pace. To me, I think the same way that we talked about in some of these games like last year with Auburn and Alabama or Florida and Alabama, it'll come down to the defensive end. Who can string together enough kill stops, which 3 stops in a row, or kill shots, 3 stops in a row. I think that's who's going to win the game. The 2 category, 3, if you want to go 3, who can get the most kill shots, who wins the backboard, and who wins the turnover war? Because I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. What are your keys to this game as a totality of who will determine be the winner?
I think the bench and really just who can go deeper wins this game. I think point guard play is definitely going to be the biggest key for both teams. Obviously, it's Michael Brown's biggest game that he's played so far. Probably the biggest game of his life that he's played so far. Obviously, the exhibition game playing against Kansas, which I do think getting that one against Kansas on our home court helped him a lot, and going against the superstar and Darian Peterson. So I do think that helped him a lot in this favor heading into this game. But point guard play, for both teams needs to be important. Jalen Lowe just came back. He played pretty well. You've seen how big of a difference he made controlling the pace for Kentucky against their second game against Valpo. They actually hit some shots, played pretty well, and really just put up a lot of points up in that game. So they played really well with him on the floor. The biggest issue I have, though, with Jalen Lowe is he is a defensive liability. Last year, and the reason I'm going to bring this up, because last year we played Jalen Lowe twice when he was at Pitt. First game, he guarded primarily the entire game. He guarded Wayne Smith. Wayne Smith had like 24 points on him. He could not guard him at all. Now it's a completely different play because Wayne Smith's not on the ball as much and is playing a lot more off ball, coming off screens, coming off flare screens. He could not stay in front of Wayne Smith at all, and he had like 24 points. Second game, and that was at Pitt, by the way. Second game in the Ville, they put him on Chucky Hepburn, who's way more on the ball than he is off ball. Chucky Hepburn put up 37 points on him in that game, and both games that Louisville won. He is a defensive liability, which I do worry about if you're a Kentucky fan. But that being said, Kentucky does have good rim protectors down low. They got Diabate and they got Brandon Garrison. Two guys that's going to control the paint, that's going to make it really difficult for Louisville to attack the rim and get downhill on them, which I do think we need to do. As much as I love that we're becoming more of a high-volume three-point shooting team, and I do think we have one of the best trio of three-point shooters in the country, we need to get in downhill and attack the rim and potentially get Kentucky in foul trouble. I think that's a key for both teams. Point guard play, who can go deeper in their bench is going to be important, and obviously three-point shooting is probably going to be the most important key for both teams.
I think you're right there for the most part. If we're talking individual matchups, I could see Jalen, and I do think he'll have time on Michael Brown. I could actually see either Denzel Aberdeen or Otega Owe beginning on Michael Brown. He's a young freshman. He's shifty with the ball. He's a really good shot creator and shot maker. I think you want to put guys who are really solid defensively, big, strong bodies on him that can move laterally with him. I think you want to disrupt him because, as we know, if you can cut the head of the snake off, then it just disrupts the whole offense. I could see, for discussion purposes only for now, I could see Denzel Aberdeen spending more time on Michael Brown. I could see Otega playing somebody like Isaac McNeely as like a floater. And you see Jalen Lowe on Ryan Conwell. I think that's a little better matchup for him. But I do think with switching with, ball screens or DHOs, you'll get these various combinations. And if Aberdeen doesn't start, Colin Chandler is a good defender. He's not great, but he's really athletic, as we've saw, can move his feet fairly quick. He may get some time on Michael Brown or Ryan Conwell. I think these individual matchups are going to be really interesting. When you look at Louisville down low too, Sonata Frew against Brandon Garrison's interesting because I think they could potentially wash each other out. Javon Hadley, when he's in the ball game, who guards him? I know you like Kenai Ruths. I think that's where, when we're talking matchups here, potentially Aberdeen switching on him, or Chandler or Otega, and mismatches here, or not mismatches, sorry, on just switches. I think if you're Louisville, I'll talk about Louisville for a minute. If you are Louisville, whenever Jasper Johnson's in the game, you attack him. Because he's not like he's an offensive flamethrower. We know that. But defensively, he's got a long way to go. I think when he's in the game, whoever he's guarding, I think all your guards have the capability of putting their head down and being a little shifty with it. I think you attack him. You put him in situations the freshman's uncomfortable with, and that's how you try to get some over rotations, and you get your kickouts for the threes you guys desperately want. If you are Kentucky, what potential one matchup are you looking to try to exploit?
I'm looking to exploit our bigs, whether it's Javon Hadley, who's an undersized big, he has good size on him for being undersized. He can go down the paint. Specifically, he can go down the perimeter. I think if you can get someone like Otega Owe, or even if you can get low post position between Brandon Garrison and Diabate, I think you can exploit him. Case and Playa is coming off an ACL injury. Thankfully, he played against Jackson State, got some significant minutes in that game. Looked pretty well, had a couple of nice dunks in there, and obviously he, he talked some shit after the game was over with, which got Kentucky fans riled up about it, which I love that we finally have a player that really just doesn't give a fuck, that will stir some shit up and not be these goody tissues like, oh, we're playing against a good team, we got to be ready for it. Like, nah, he said literally, I will see you guys Tuesday night after we win. Fuck them. And it got Kentucky fans, got their media riled up. It's like, man, I love it. So he's going to have a chip on his shoulder. I'm sure Kentucky players are going to put that on the bulletin board and really go after him. So that could be an interesting matchup. When Sanandra Fu is in the game, and even Big Z, when both of those guys are in the game, they're not, even though they're both big guys, especially Big Z, he's a fucking hoss. I feel like if you get them in a mismatch on the perimeter, like if they have to come out and we're switching, they got to guard Jasper Johnson, or even if they got to guard Denzel Albany, or even Jalen Lowe, who's a really good at attacking the rim, I think that could be a very difficult matchup for those two guys to come out and guard them on the perimeter. So those are kind of Javon Hadley, really just our bigs. If you can get them in DHOs or attacking downhill, Kansas exploited that against us with their pick and roll coverage. Our pick and roll defense wasn't great. And I think Melvin Council Jr. and Floyd Badunga had multiple lobs at the rim, and we just couldn't stop it. So if you can exploit some of that, I think you'll put yourself in a good position to come out with a win.
How do you think Louisville will defend the zoom action? Especially, we don't know yet if Trent Noah is going to play. I think the hope is he is. He's really good at when he's the pin down screen and reads and reacts to the defender, how they're guarding it, and slip into the rim because the rim's wide open. How do you think, if you had to get into the mind of Pat Kelsey, how do you think they defend the zoom action?
I think we'll be an aggressive on whoever has the ball. I think we're going to play up, and I think we're going to switch.
Do you think you have the capabilities of doing what Georgetown did, which just completely blow it up? Like, you are not getting into these DHOs. We're going to play kind of the sandbag off so you can't take the cut. We're just going to blow them up, and you're not getting into these DHOs.
Yeah, I think we'll get up in your guards or whoever has the ball, whoever your primary ball handler is, whether it's the DHOs or whatever the case may be. I think we'll get up into them because both games, all the games I've seen out of Louisville are 4 games that we played, the 2 exhibition games and the 2 regular season games. It's interesting to see how this might play out against Kentucky because Kentucky likes playing fast. But we have done multiple token press, and it has worked a lot. We've made them extend their offense out and take some time out away from the possession. So if we can do that and waste like 4 or 5 seconds from Kentucky having to just get up the court and really extend their offense and get into their DHOs and get into their zoom actions a lot quicker than they would normally like to, I feel like that could hurt Kentucky's timing and maybe work in our favor, but also can help make Kentucky get better transition shots. And if we're not focused and disciplined in our press and our token presses that we do, especially when we do decide to randomly trap out of them, which have forced a lot of turnovers in our 4 games that we played, that could be very dangerous for us. But no, I think we're going to be aggressive on the guards. The important key for both teams, whether it's a zoom action for you guys on offense or whether it's us even giving the ball to Ali Khalifa on the top of the key, you guys got to be – both teams have to be watching the man instead of watching the get caught ball watching.
Mm-hmm.
Because when Ali Khalifa is on the court, and I'm curious to see how well he plays in this game, he's one of the best passing bigs in the country. Multiple times he'll get the ball to the top of the key, and he has high size, he has great vision, and we'll just get him on a bunch of cuts, backdoor plays, and we give a lot of wide open shots out of that. And he's very good in the DHOs as well. If you're getting caught ball watching when he's on the floor and he's on the top of the key or high posts, you're going to get back cut a lot. And it's going to lead to open points for Louisville, and it's going to allow us to get into a rhythm offensively. So if you're Kentucky, when he's on the court, you got to be able to see both man and ball, but specifically guard your man.
It's totally fair, and you also can't get so sagged because you're trying to watch ball and man that you give enough space to Louisville shooters. Because if you try to, like traditionally, you play help side where you see ball and man, like when you're teaching kids, right? You're doing the finger pointing, like, hey, can I see ball and man in my peripheral here? If you're too much of a gap to, let's say, Conwell or McKinley, they're just going to catch and shoot. So you have to, it's a catch-22. That's why this offense is so difficult to guard, because you have to play tight and take airspace away. But if you overcommit, your back cut. If you're not committed enough, you're giving too much space for a three-point shot. So the discipline on both teams, having to guard kind of mirror images of one another in a lot of ways, is going to be crucial to who wins this ball game. Before, I'm going to give some stats real quick on how identical these two teams are through 2 games apiece, and then we'll get to predictions. Field goals. Kentucky, 66 of 130 for 50.8%. Louisville, 68 of 129 for 52.7%. Louisville favor and makes. Kentucky's taking one more. Field goal percentage goes Louisville. 3-point field goals, we already talked about. Free throws. Kentucky's 34 of 48 for 70.8%. Louisville, 52 of 68 for 76.5%. Advantage Louisville. 20 more attempts, almost 20 more makes, almost 6% better. Turnovers. Kentucky's averaging 9.5. Louisville 13.5. Kentucky holds the advantage. Rebounds. Kentucky 50.5 to Louisville's 48. Kentucky advantage. Assists. So close. Kentucky's averaging 24 a game. Louisville 23.5. Advantage Kentucky. Steals. Kentucky 5 a game. Louisville 11.5 steals per game is ridiculous. Blocks per game. Kentucky 4. Louisville 2.5. Kentucky a slight advantage. Fouls. Louisville has averaging 2 fouls more per game. These two teams, there's some advantages for each, but they're very identical in numbers right now. And of course, the points per game, Louisville's got the big advantage of 105 to 92. Prediction time. We all know I'm going to pick Kentucky. You're going to pick Louisville. Let's save the drama. The question is, how tight of a ball game do you think this ends up being in the KFC Yum Center on Tuesday night?
Ain't that the $1 million question? Or I guess the $22 million question, because that's how much.
You see Dakota here? By the way, did you see Dakota in the YouTube chat here? He said, let's go BBN. I got to talk about 12. I got Johnson Moreno having a big game. Can't wait for Tuesday night. Let's go. So you got Dakota's prediction there.
I hear it. I don't like it, but I hear it. I don't think it's going to be a 12-point ball game for either team. I think it's going to be a two-possession type of game for
whoever. It comes down to the end.
Whoever wins this game. And listen, Yum Center is going to be rocking. It's going to be packed. It's going to be loud and clear. Primetime game, ESPN. You have Billis on the call. You have Dan Schumann on the call. Dude. With this being so early, and now if Kason Playa didn't play in this game and didn't come back, I don't know how much of an impact he's going to have. I think, listen, if in the alternate universe he comes out and drops 30 points and we win this game, hang his fucking number in the rafters. If he comes out and talks that much shit that he did before this game and comes out and just buries Kentucky himself and then drops 30 or just has a really good game, then just hang his jersey in the rafters forever. He will forever be a Wolf.
Hey, our Indiana fans will say make collector cups for him.
Nah, we ain't going to do that shit. We're not that embarrassing. We aren't that desperate. But I don't think he's going to – I don't know how much impact he's going to have in this game. I trust our guards more than Kentucky's guards. I think it's going to be extremely difficult for Kentucky to stop our flare action, to stop our DHOs. And it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to guard when Alec Khalifa's on the floor. Are they going to play up on him and potentially try to – out-physical him and really trying to jump the DHOs, or are they going to try to play like a drop coverage and try to really stop the backdoor cuts? But if you do that, you're going to open up three-point opportunities for the guys like Ryan Condor. So it's a very difficult chess match for both teams on how they're going to go about their schematics on defense. But you already mentioned I am going to pick Louisville. I think our guards are going to play phenomenally well, and I think this is a Mikel Brown legacy game. And I think I've been a big fan of Kenai Roofs. I think he's been a huge difference from last year to this year. I don't know how Kentucky's going to be able to stop him because he can do a little bit of everything. But no, I think Mikel Brown's going to come out and he's going to show everybody why he's one of the best freshmen in the country and why he's a potential top 5 pick. Cards win, high scoring game, 87 to 81.
I've got a couple people here that I just want to highlight before we move on. I think Kentucky wins. I think this is an incredibly close game that are both teams. When you look at the real app the next morning, you look at the runs and you'll see Louisville went on like a 19-5 run. Kentucky countered it with like a 23-14 5 run or whatever the case may be. I think at the end of the day, Kentucky finds just enough stops in the final 2.5 minutes and makes just enough plays. I've got the Cats winning 91-89. Colin Chandler MVP. I think he goes off for like 19 points, hits 4 or 5 threes. I think Jalen Lowe has heard all this shit from Louisville people all summer about how he got torched and how this and that. And he's just going to say, hey, I'm on a way better team. I'm healthy, well, semi-healthy. The offense looked way better with him on the floor the other night against Valpo. I don't know how much scoring he'll do. I'll say he has like 9 points, but he's going to have like 13 assists. He's going to play really well. And the third kid I will highlight that I think will make the biggest difference in this game is Mo Diabate. His ability and versatility to switch out and defend guards, the way he's tenacious about getting on the backboard, creating second, third opportunities. He's not much of a shooter, but he's capable. He hit 1, I think, the other night against Valpo. I think he will make a big difference on the defensive end, just enough to win this game. I've got an incredibly entertaining, incredibly nail-biting game for both of us, but I do think the Cats win 91-89. And I will say this, and I think you may agree, these two teams, regardless of who wins, I think they're going to be top 10, top 12 good the entire year. This is only the beginning for both of them.
Yeah, I think this, who knows, this probably won't be the only time that these two teams face off. We might meet in the Elite 8 or the Final 4 this year. I'm not going to lie.
We may meet in Indy.
Oh, dude, that'd be insane.
Right up the road for me and you.
Oh, dude, I'll fucking that'd be insane. But no, I agree. I think whoever wins this game, whoever loses this game, whatever the result is, I think both teams are going to be very fucking good. I think Kentucky's still, no matter what, unless they just get destroyed in this game, I still think they're one of the favorites to win the SEC. And same thing for Louisville. Whether Louisville wins this game, gets beat by 1 or gets beat by fucking 20, I still think Louisville has a very legitimate chance of winning the ACC. Both of these teams are going to be really good. The good thing about this, it is very early in the season. So even if one of these teams lose, obviously it's going to hurt the pride. One of the other teams is going to get bragging rights for the rest of the season.
Boy, that shit talk's going to last forever.
unless they meet in the tournament, the bragging rights are going to be insane for this one. But it is early in the season. It's game 3 for both of these teams, and it's going to be a lot of an adjustment period. And listen, last year Louisville struggled heading into this game. That was mid-season, but they struggled a little bit. And then after this game, they gave Kentucky a hell of a game. Yep. Maybe if things could have went their way and Lamont Butler didn't hit every single shot possible in Rupp Arena, maybe they could have pulled out with the upset. But after that game, that's when Louisville went on like 10 wins in a row, whatever it was, and really started to show out. So it's a legacy game. It's a big game for both teams. And I think the biggest key for me is who wins the offensive rebounding battle. Who gets more second chance points? Who really wants it more? Who can get out there and really prove a point? If Louisville can go out there and jump Kentucky from the get-go, it'd be crazy if we go up 26-2 like we did against fucking South Carolina State. Yeah. If we can go up there and jump them to like 10-2, something like that, get Rupp Arena rocking, Yum Center rocking early, I don't know if Kentucky will have enough to come back, but then again, it's going to be a game of runs. And I think this is going to be like 2016, 2017 game over with, but this time on steroids because both teams are exceptionally good offensively.
I agree.
I'm excited.
And the rivalry is incredible. So the shit talking is going to be intense leading up and after for whoever wins this ballgame. Hey, let's go back. I know we're doing previews real quick. Let's go back since I did forget Alabama St. John's somehow. This was a really good game. We'll talk about it just briefly. Alabama, ranked 13th in the ECB top 25, goes basically on a true road game. St. John's playing the game in Madison Square Garden, ranked 6th in the ECB top 25. Bama drops 103 on them, wins 103-96. LeBaron and Philon, Aiden Holloway combined for 46.7 assists, 1 turnover on 19 of 35 from the floor. Zuby Edgefor was incredible for St. John's. He had like 20-some at halftime, finishes with 27 and 10. The Johnnies got to be kicking themselves in the ass for all the free throw misses. They got to the line 40 times, made 28 of them for 70%. Alabama, who started off hot from the three-point line, finishes 11 of 35 for 31.4%. Really cooled off in the second half, but it did not matter. St. John's could not stay in front of the Alabama guards, not just LeBaron Philon and Aiden Holloway. Latrell Wright sells back from injury, 22 minutes, gives 17 points with a plus-minus, a plus 17. And then they got great production from the Florida State transfer, Taylor Bolbowen, 17 points, 9 boards in 28 minutes. I thought he was just doing what everybody expected him to do, be the athletic, long freak athlete he was. St. John's 6-17 from three-point line, missing all those free throws, and then down the stretch outside of Zuby Ejiofor, like Bryce Hopkins had 19, but he missed a couple around the rim at the end of the game. Ian Jackson, kind of the same thing. Alabama, man, you lose Mark Sears, and this offense remains dangerous. It's just the Nate Oates effect.
Yeah, I left this game. Obviously, I thought St. John's was going to bully them. I thought St. John's was going to be able to dominate them and really shut down Alabama's guards that they have, especially with Aiden Holloway coming off injury, not playing the first 2 games, and this being his first game. I thought it was going to be a rough task for him, but now he came out and balled out. LeBaron Philon balled out as well. And, Zuby Ejiofor played incredible. He's definitely, in my opinion, the best big in the country. 27 points, 10 boards, had a dominant game out of him, a double-double. If St. John's hits the free throw, St. John's wins this game, and they still shot 35% from three-point line, which is very impressive in my opinion. I came out of this game, even though St. John's gave up 103 points, and they're definitely a very defensive-minded team under Rick Pitino, they put up 96 themselves, which I think is very impressive out of them. I left this game with feeling pretty high on both teams. Alabama has one of the best guard trios in the country. Offensively, they're tough to beat, and they're tough to stop. And St. John's, listen, if they're putting up over 90 points a game, hitting majority of their threes, it came down to a free throw disparity against them. They hit their free throws, they win. So, defensively, they definitely need to play a lot better than they did in this game. But I left this game feeling pretty high on both teams. I'm not going to lie.
The thing that really stands out to me, Peyton, is you play the pace in which Alabama plays. And we know is always one of the more fast-paced electric styles in college basketball. To play that many possessions in a game against a physical team in Rick Pitino who's going to press you and try to be physical and get up in your grill and turn you over, Alabama had 7 turnovers. That's it, 7 turnovers. And they drop 103 on a usually solid defensive unit. St. John's has been scoring a lot through 2 games, so looks like they've got some offensive punch that maybe they were missing last year, but they've got to shore up their defense. Alabama, you just kind of think that Mark Sears is gone and they lose, the big white kid from last year. I forgot his name right now. But you lose all these pieces, what I'm getting at, and that maybe they take a few steps back. And Nate Oates, man, he has electric guards. They play a fun style, and they're going to put up a lot of points. And if you can't defend it and at least stop some of these spurtability runs, like you look at the runs that they had, 13-0, 22-4, like you have no shot at beating them. You've got to limit it. You're not going to stop them from scoring 75 most nights. But can you stop them from getting 90 or 95? That's the difference between stopping them from getting, let's say, 80 and 95 is the difference whether you win or Alabama crunches you. That's just who they are. They're an offensive juggernaut under Nate Oates, and they get a big win. I think Bama is another one of those teams that when the poll or ECB top 25 drops tomorrow afternoon, they will jump inside the top 10. Let's see how much the voters penalize St. John's for a top 15 loss basically at home. I wouldn't penalize them that much. I know personally on my ballot, they'll drop a few spots, but nothing crazy. We'll see how far some people maybe overreact to this game, though.
Yeah, I wouldn't drop them that far. Maybe a couple spots, but about 3 or 4 spots. But that's really it. Like, I still think they're a very good team. And like I mentioned, I think I left this game feeling pretty high on both teams.
Let's talk about another big game on Tuesday night, 8:30 p.m. tip time on Fox Sports 1 from the State Farm Arena in Champaign, Illinois. You've got 2-0 ranked number 11 Texas Tech going to unranked Illinois, which I can't believe our voters in the preseason did not rank Illinois. They look incredible. I voted for them actually inside the top 15. I believe. No, I think I had them 16th is what I had them. But they look incredible. They've got their Balkan connection with all the Koviches and all the Balkanisms. Through 2 games apiece, Illinois is averaging 113 points a game, Texas Tech 98 points a game. Illinois is shooting 41% from 3, 28 of 68. Texas Tech 29 of 73 for 39%. This will be an interesting contest, Peyton, because Illinois playing in front of the Orange Crush, Kylan Boswell, Big Z's, Vonimir Visic. You got David Merkovich, Ben Hummerkaus from last year playing well. He's averaging 15 a game right now. Tomislav Visic averaging 21 and 4 right now. Andrei Stojakovic, a little slower start right now, but he's averaging 9 and 5. Going against Texas Tech and their star, Christian Anderson, averaging 26 points, 4.5 boards, 9 assists. JT Toppin didn't play in their opening game. He played in the game the other night. 31 points, 14 rebounds. Donovan Atwell, 20.5 points. I mean, this should be another high-scoring, electric affair that literally, I think, comes down to the similar to Kentucky Louisville, who can get the most kill shot defensive stops wins this game. And the other aspect, I think there'll be even three-point shooting. I think it'll be who wins the rebounding award. I think Illinois, with their size and the balkanism, with the Visic brothers, with Ben Hummerkaus, with all the guys I named, can they control the backboard, in particular the offensive rebounds? I think those are the keys to the game. When you look at this matchup here, what do you see?
I see this being a high-scoring game. I think it comes down to the last 4 minutes. I think it starts with the first 4 minutes and ends with the last 4 minutes. Whoever can start this game off hot and whoever can finish the game hot is going to win this game. I like Texas Tech's roster. I really like this Texas Tech squad. I think if you ask me to predict who has the biggest challenge to Houston this year in the Big 12, I think Texas Tech might be my number one option. Yep. I just think they got studs. Like JT Toppin's one of the best wings one of the best players in the country, period, but definitely one of the best wings in the country. I think guys like Christian Anderson can go out there and get you 30, which he got 34 against Lindenwood. I think he had 11 assists in that game too. I think guys like Nolan Groves, who may not get the media shine from everybody, but I think he does winning plays. I mean, against Lindenwood, he had only 7 points, 3 assists, but he had 16 boards as a guard. I think guys like Tyree Bryan can go out there and can contribute positively. Donovan Atwell, I think, is a stud, had 22 against Lindenwood. I think they got enough pieces on this roster to where, and they got studs in Christian Anderson and JT Toppin to where I think they're going to overcome and overmatch Illinois in the last 4 minutes of this game and come up with the victory. I really, really like this Texas Tech squad, and I think they're going to be a problem in the Big 12.
Yeah, I want to give – he's not on the episode today, but DeRosa screaming his praises, Christian Anderson, dating back to last year, screaming his praises. I know he would be pumped right now to talk about him with his 26 points a game. I'm really torn on this game because to me it's a 50-50 toss-up. Illinois is going to play at an incredible pace. Texas Tech will try to match it. I think in the half-court, Tech will be a little bit better. But the size from Illinois is ridiculous. Like when you go both Visic brothers at the 4-5, you're talking about 7-footers, 7'1", that can both shoot the ball. One lefty, one righty that can pick and pop. But we know they don't like physicality. And I think Texas Tech is tougher than a $2 steak, as Jim Ross would say. And I think ultimately that comes down to the point of the game. I think Tech is willing to push the Visic brothers and Merkovich off their spot, make them settle, and I think they will get that's not fair. I think they will get the majority of the 50-50 balls. I think they will take charges. And then it comes down to your star, Christian Anderson, JT Toppin, making plays. I do worry about Toppin and Anderson, though. If they try to attack the rim, both the Visic can erase shots at the rim. So it'll be interesting. My brain tells me to take Illinois because they're at home. But my heart says Texas Tech is going to go in there and put on a show. I've got the Red Raiders getting a major quad 1 Q1A victory earlier in the year, winning this game 86-79. They stretch it with free throws at the end.
Yeah, I got Texas Tech winning this game. I like Kellen Boswell from Illinois. I like if he shoots from Illinois. I like a couple of their players. I think Illinois is very underrated coming to the season, and why they weren't ranked on our ECB top 25 poll is a little absurd to me, and it's a little damning if you ask me. I think they definitely should have been at least top 25 good. Maybe not higher than 20th, but still top 25 good in my opinion. And I still think they can be upper half of the Big Ten Conference this year. That being said, I already mentioned it. I love Christian Anderson. I think he's a legit star. He can go out there and get you buckets. JT Toppin's one of my favorite players in the country to watch. And they just have great role players. And defensively, they're good. And they're putting up 98 points per game in their first 2 games that they've played. And I think they're going to score over 88. I think they'll get close to 90 points as well in this game. I don't think Illinois is going to be able to stop them defensively. Texas Tech wins 91-85.
Last one I want to preview is also on Tuesday night, another late West Coast start game here. Creighton unranked. They've played 1 game. They've looked good through that game. They're going on the road back in Spokane, playing at the McCarthy Athletic Center, 10 p.m. ESPN against number 18 Gonzaga, who's now 2-0. We just talked about their big win against Oklahoma last night. Owen Freeman from Creighton's averaging 19-4. Graham Ike 16-11. We know how difficult this is to go for opposing teams to go into Spokane. Even though it's not the Kennel, it's still a home court advantage. That just at the bigger buildings, all the reason that these types of games are played there instead of played at the Kennel. You look at comparisons right now. Creighton in their first game, 8 of 26 from the three-point line. We've talked about Gonzaga's struggles. They were only 13 of 44 through 2 games. Both teams averaging over 90 points a game. Creighton had 13 turnovers in their opening game. Gonzaga holds the rebounding edge with 51 across 2 contests is what they're averaging, 51. Assists are damn near dead even. Gonzaga's averaging 20.5. Creighton's 20 through their 1 game. Creighton fans got all over me because I mispronounced and misspoke in our Creighton preview on the Big East about a month ago. Look, I think they clearly can shoot the ball. I was wrong about Isaac Trout. I meant to say somebody else. He can clearly shoot the ball. Josh Dix coming in. They can shoot, even if the numbers through 1 game doesn't necessarily show it. But I think talking what we did with Gonzaga and Oklahoma, when they put Creighton in those middle pick and rolls, how will Creighton defend now that there's no Ryan Kalkbrenner back there to erase shots? Are they going to jam the pick and roll and leave Gonzaga open for threes? It may be the best. Honestly, it may be the best scenario right now if Gonzaga is not going to shoot the 3 ball well. But again, do you really want a team that could potentially get hot on you because you're leaving them wide open? I just think playing in front of their home crowd, going out west is going to be difficult. And I do like Mario St. Cypri. I said it watching him last night with Oklahoma. He's only averaging 8, 2, and 3 assists. But then you look at Tyon Grant Foster, an incredible story right now, averaging 14.5, 6 boards. And they've got somebody down low. I don't know if Creighton early on can match up with when they need a bucket in Graham Ike. Peyton, I like Gonzaga. I think this game will be closer than the Oklahoma game will be, especially if Creighton can really get rolling from 3. Owen Freeman's off to an incredible start through 1 game. But I think Gonzaga with Mark Few is going to do enough with their schematics on the offensive end to put Creighton in bad situations. And I do think eventually Gonzaga busts out of this 3-point slump. Maybe not incredible numbers, but if they, let's say, go 9 of 27, that 33% is better than what they have been shooting. And it'll be enough to allow EK and Huff to roam inside. I got Gonzaga winning this one. I think this will be a little lower scoring than people may expect. I think Gonzaga wins like 79-71.
Listen, if you pick Ryan Kalkbrenner back on this Creighton team, now I'd pick Creighton to win. But you don't have Ryan Kalkbrenner. You don't even have Stephen Ashworth. You have solid guards, but it's not good enough guards to win this game. I don't like this Gonzaga team. I don't like this Gonzaga roster. But I think I don't like this Creighton roster more than I don't like Gonzaga's. I think Gonzaga wins this game, especially with it being at home, being a late night tip. I think it's going to be difficult for Creighton. I don't think they're going to be able to score enough points. And I definitely think they're not going to be able to stop Graham Ike or Huff getting what they want down low. I think Gonzaga is going to dominate the points in the paint. I think they're going to take care of the ball. And I do think this will probably be the game where they'll hit a good percentage of their shots. Maybe not a high percentage, but I do think they'll hit probably a high volume of their shots, which I think is going to be important for them. So give me the Zags 82-72.
Let's start to round the show out today, episode 237, with bank on it. As you can see, we've always joked for 8 years now about, wow, we always forget what our records are. Well, now we're keeping track with this brand new graphic here. As you can see, when Peyton reveals his, these were done earlier before the Indiana game started. They have still, looks like, 12 or 13 minutes left to go. Indiana's up to 68-55. So we'll have to keep total that. But for full disclosure, Peyton made this long before this game ever started, so we will count it. Peyton, my bank on it. Also on Tuesday night, you have a Mid-South rivalry game. 1-0 Memphis heading to 2-0 Ole Miss. They're not that far apart. The universities aren't. It is a Mid-South rivalry, 9 p.m. on the SEC network. My bank on it is Ole Miss beats Memphis by 10+. I'm not in love with this Memphis team right now. You look at Ole Miss through 2 games. AJ Store's actually playing well. 18.5 points, 4.5 boards, 3 assists. I cannot pronounce his name. Ilyas Kamaradine, 14 points, 5.5 assists. James Scott's back there protecting the rim. Malik Diaz doing Malik Diaz stuff as kind of this dumpy 6'8", unathletic forward who can step out and shoot. I just like Chris Beard's roster. I don't love them. I like them. And then Memphis, I just still have concerns. Like, they're going to press. They're going to be up in your grill. They're going to want to speed the game up. Doug McDaniel from his Michigan days can be an electric scorer, microwave scorer. He's averaging 11 through the first game. They've got some pieces, but going on the road, Chris Beard has turned that place into a fortress. You saw what they did last year, like Alabama. You've seen it. Kentucky they beat. Give me Ole Miss in the rivalry game by 10 or more points. I think it's belt to ass for the Rebels.
Hey, that's my catchphrase. Get your own. Actually, I hope it's better than you, because I said belt to ass for 2 teams, and it did not. It was not belt to ass. Matter of fact, they didn't even win the game. Anyhow, bank on it. I suck at this, but it looks like I'm about to, unless I get bad luck in this last 13 minutes, looks like I'm about to get mine. Indiana hits over 12 threes in this game, which currently they're up 68-55, 13 minutes to go. Tucker DeVries has 27 points, and they're beating the shit out of them. And they've shot 18 threes, and they hit 10 of them. That is
11 now. It's updated. My update. It's under 12 timeout. They're up 73-57. They're 11 of 20 from the 3-point line.
I need one more 3 to get my bank on it. But anyways, I don't even care if I don't get my bank on it, because I mentioned Thursday that this Indiana team is legit, and they were going to beat the fucking brakes. Belt to ass on Marquette. And I'm about to get that one right. So at least I'm about to be 1-4 on that one. But nah, this Indiana team's legit. And I told y'all Dane DeVries was a great hire, and it looks like he's showing it out. This Marquette team's not that great, but Indiana team is great. And they finally have a team that has great ball movement, great off-ball movement, actually sets some screens, actually can get their motion down and play good defense. And finally, Indiana fans, say it with me, you finally have a team that can actually hit 3-pointers. Holy shit. Round of applause. Indiana hits 12 threes or more. They need one more. Let's go. Bank on it.
But it looks like you're going to start 1-0. We'll see for Tuesday on mine if mine comes true, but we'll keep update. When DeRosa's here, we'll add his and do the record. I like my graphic, by the way. See the money there? I like that. I think it stands out. Let's do quick shout outs. I know I didn't have it on the docket, but we always do, and I'll just make mine quick. Shout out Tom Izzo. They keep denying him. Say the game's passing by, and all he does is just win ball games. It doesn't matter if it's pretty. It don't have to be pretty. You can still win titles and it not be pretty. They get a big win at home despite going 1-14 from the 3-point line in the most Tom Izzo way, because they were tough. They rebounded, especially on the offensive end, and they defended. He wins the battle of Italian Americans. So shout out Tommy Izzo on that one. And then Caleb Wilson. He talked his shit. If you heard him with Field 68 and other interviews, he says he puts every game. He said people think that I'm joking, but I literally on my wallpaper before every game put something that motivates me and just gets me pissed off. And that Kansas game, he put Darren Peterson as his wallpaper because he remembered the McDonald's All-American game. He said, I was on Darren Peterson's team, and I remember he didn't pass me a ball, and it pissed me off. And he comes out and drops a career-high 24 points. Incredible defense. I like that from him. He's got that like MJ Kobe psycho killer mentality about him. How can you not love that? So shout out to Caleb Wilson for putting his name officially in the hat for the best freshman in college basketball.
I've got 3 shout outs. Shout out to Tucker DeVries. The game's not over yet, but he's got 27 points. He might go for 30 plus, and there's still 11 minutes to go in that game. So shout out to him for being the stud that he is and really getting this Indiana squad back to where they need to be and hopefully a tournament team this year. And who knows, potentially maybe he can finish top 3, top 4 in the Big Ten Conference. He's going to be a big factor in that. So shout out to him for just going nuclear against Marquette, and the game's still not over. Shout out Caleb Wilson. I'm actually going to shout out his coach. Shout out to Hubert Davis. Coming into this year, I didn't know.
None of us said.
I was a little worried. I'm like, man, you take away what happened in U1 when he made the national title game, even though he probably shouldn't have. They probably should have got beat by Baylor in that game in the second round or the first round, whatever that was. You take away U1, he's been having very underwhelming seasons at North Carolina. And coming into this year, I knew he had a stud freshman in Caleb Wilson, but I was a little worried about their backcourt with Seth Trimble. But listen, he proved me wrong. He came out there, coached a hell of a game, did really well, and they put up 87 points on a Bill Self-led Kansas team. So shout out to Hubert Davis for shutting people up about his hot seatness at North Carolina. My third and final shout out is my most important shout out for 2 different reasons. Shout out to Case and Plyer. Shout out to him because he finally came back after tearing his ACL last November against Oklahoma in the Battle for Atlantis title game. So it's his first minutes in like over 300 and 60 days or however long it's been. I forgot what stat they said. But it's been since last November since he's actually played college basketball. So shout out to him for getting back on the court. But more importantly, shout out to him for the comments that he made after the game.
Yeah.
He did something that that we really needed to add a little bit more fire into this rivalry and to really get the media talking, especially the national media talking, because they definitely got them talking about this. He said, and I already mentioned earlier, but I'll just go ahead and reiterate it again. He said to the media, to the Louisville media after our game against Jackson State, he said, I'll see you guys Tuesday night after we win. Fuck them. To Kentucky. He said, fuck Kentucky. I can't remember the last Louisville player that's done that shit, which makes me really happy because it's finally have somebody that actually has the balls to say shit like this and get Kentucky fans riled up because we need it. I'm tired of this goody two-shoes bullshit, this PR train bullshit where you're talking about how great of a team Kentucky is, which they are. You're really trying to not add any extra motivation. Fuck that. Be yourself. Be outgoing. Show your personality. We need personalities in college basketball. We need it. So shout out to Jason Plyer for getting Kentucky fans riled up, for motivating and really electrifying Louisville fans, because now we've got everybody talking and everybody's waiting for the Tuesday night game, 8 p.m. Eastern, Louisville versus Kentucky in the Yum Center, top 10 matchup in the ECB polls, Pope versus PK, Cards versus Cats, Red versus Blue. Go Cards. Hashtag L1C4, hashtag L's up. Let's go.
Look, I think you said it well. Indiana's currently up 83-63, by the way. How about this? Just
my bank on it. They got 13 threes converted.
DeVries and Wilkerson are combined 12 of 17 from 3. Yes, I said that. 12 of 17 from 3. Indiana Hoosier fans, stand up. You have got an incredibly fun team, and we are heading towards an incredibly fun freaking rivalry on Tuesday night in week 2 of college basketball. Top 10 showdown. Bragging rights in the Bluegrass, bragging rights between me and Peyton. It's going to be a lot of fun. When we come at you on Thursday for episode 238, we'll have a winner. Somebody will be a loser, but none of you are losers for tuning in and checking us out. We appreciate the love and support. Catch us on Thursday for episode 238. If you enjoy our videos, make sure you hit the subscribe button, the like button. Please share and tell everybody about us. we're doing incredible work we have for the last 8 years. But until Thursday, we will catch you guys down the road. Peace.